Well, good afternoon. My name is Kevin Johnson. I'm President and CEO of the Detroit Economic Growth Corporation, and it is a pleasure for me on this day of wonderful announcements to have another Detroit announcement for our great city. Our organization was one of the partners which helped bring CURE to the city back in December of 2021. I'm thrilled to see that the work that our team and our partners have done to accumulate this moment that we're sharing in right now. When CURE entered the Michigan market, they recognized a tremendous opportunity that this market had for its business. We also had a couple of things that they really were impressed by. One, they were impressed by the Detroit workforce. Two, the affordability of real estate here that you're sitting in right now. And three, a community that was very hungry for economic development to continue in the city that we know and love. Even more impressive was that over half of their 75,000 Michigan customers reside in Detroit. So you do the math on half of 75, I think that's 375,000, 37,500 Detroiters that do business with CURE. Beyond the numbers, CURE is making a real impact on individuals' lives here in the city, with an average saving on the policies that you all issue of 41%. I don't know what about you, but 41% savings sounds pretty damn good to us, and we want to continue that by having you call this space home. So on behalf of the Detroit Economic Growth Corporation, I want to thank CURE Auto Insurance for investing in Detroit. By growing your business here, we will grow together. At this time, I'd like to introduce the Chief Economic Development Officer for the City of Detroit, the city's champion, Mayor Mike Duggan.
All right. So, Eric, it's good to see all the media here, although I think they were probably expecting to see Cade Cunningham show up. CURE has made a splash in this town, and I'm just really pleased with this. You got a company that's been out of New Jersey in their history, came to the city of Detroit, 60 employees working here downtown. Eric, I'm pretty sure your office in New Jersey doesn't have the beautiful view of the Detroit River. How many CURE employees are here? How do you like the offices? All right. We are bringing jobs back to this city, and we're glad to have them. And I can talk about car insurance longer than anybody wants to hear. But CURE, maybe not you, okay. But CURE embraced the strategy, and I know it's a complicated question. You look at how it's covered. People have been covering the catastrophic claims issue, which was never my issue and never where the savings was. The savings was the requirement that people who already had medical insurance buy duplicate insurance in the unlimited PIP option. It made no sense. Every Medicare recipient in this state was spending $1,000 for unnecessary duplicate coverage, including my mother, who thinks the auto insurance bill's the best thing that I have done. But one of the issues we have is that the insurers in the state of Michigan have been so used to selling the unlimited option for so long, they were not quick to sell the limited options. But in the other 49 states in America, this is what people have the right to do. You have the right to choose how much medical coverage you want. CURE came into this market with that national perspective and said, let us show you what your options are. And it's been remarkable. They got 75,000 Michigan residents insured, most of them in the city of Detroit. Here's the interesting thing. Almost 70% of them did not have car insurance before they were insured with CURE. These folks were driving with no coverage at all. Had they gotten in an accident, they would have had no medical benefits because they were driving illegally. And so what CURE has done is show the way. I hope we get more entrants into this market nationally. I hope the folks who stay here are more aggressive about explaining the options. But this just shows what happens. Company comes in that understands what competition is about in insurance, take a good share of this market overnight, and bring 60 employees to the city of Detroit. And Eric promises me very soon it will be 100. So welcome to Detroit, Eric Pope.
Thank you very much. First, I'd like to say that there's I don't even think there's even insurance executives that know more about car insurance than the mayor does. So we'll give a round of applause for his knowledge on this topic. Today is a realization of a vision that Mayor Duggan and I had about 8 years ago. I looked at my emails, and back in March of 2015 is when I actually sat with Mayor Duggan, and he explained to me the problems that car insurance was having on Detroiters, and the fact that people would not move into this city simply because they were going to pay $600 or $700 a month for car insurance. And I made him a promise 8 years ago that if he could help the legislature pass a bill to put fee schedules and caps into place, that we would expand our business into Michigan. And that mission on our side was to come into this state and not use what the rest of our industry uses, which is credit scores, education, occupation, income proxies, and give real meaningful, affordable rates to Michiganders under that new law. So I'm very happy to say that, hopefully this first 10,000, 15,000 square feet will be 100,000 square feet in the next 3 years. I think the statistics speak for themselves. With 75,000 people joining us in the last 2 years, it shows the need that our products had. The most important stat, I think, is that 94% of all the people that buy car insurance from CURE are choosing an option that was introduced under this new law. So we still have our work to do. We still have found, predatory towing problems, and the mayor's office has done an incredible job at fighting the fraud and the things that drive up the cost for Detroiters. I have never been in an environment where people actually in government work hand in hand with private companies. And I have to say that, keep it up. We love this place. We love this city. And I think it's on its way back. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce the Executive Vice President and COO of Bedrock. And thank you guys for having us as a tenant. Ivy Greener, sorry.
Thanks everyone for being here today. Thank you to Eric and Mr. Mayor and Kevin. Everybody sitting on different sides. We are so happy to talk about CURE Auto Insurance being here, being in Detroit and locating in one of our fabulous buildings. It is a pretty special building. We bought it a couple of years ago to help continue the mission along with Detroit and the Riverfront Conservancy to bring people and connect us to our vibrant Detroit downtown. We continue to do that. We already have professional businesses that occupy here, and so we love that CURE is here too. Special and near and dear to my heart because I live a block from them, so I can tell you that this is a great neighborhood because this is where I live. Lots of great stuff on the East Riverfront. So very happy you're here. We know that they're going to continue to build the momentum. We're very appreciative of all the work that the city has done to help bring CURE here. We look forward to working with the city further to bring more people here before CURE occupies the entire East Riverfront. But we're very happy. So we want to congratulate everybody for being here. And now, without further ado, I would like to announce Mary Sheffield, who's going to talk to you next, who is our Detroit City Council President. So very happy to hand it over to Mary. Thank you.
All right, good afternoon. Such an honor to be here and to welcome CURE Auto Insurance to the city of Detroit. I join the sentiments of everyone that spoke today that this is a big step for Detroit. We all know that Detroiters have had such a challenge dealing with auto insurance for quite some time. Just hearing the stories of individuals who are kept off the road because they cannot access affordable coverage to get to and from work, to visit family and friends, and just to take care of basic needs, childcare, et cetera, because they do not have access to affordable coverage for auto insurance. I want to thank the mayor, because I do remember when he got here, he was steadfast in delivering reform for Detroiters. Let's give it up for him again. I remember the fight. It was a tough challenge, but he got it done. And that was providing an option, just one option, to allow Detroiters the access to get on the road and to get access to affordable coverage. And so I just join in and say congratulations. I want to thank also the DGC, Kevin Johnson, for continuing to attract businesses like this to invest in the city of Detroit. And thank you all for choosing Detroit as your home. To have 58% of your customers come from Detroit shows that Detroiters are benefiting from the services that you all provide, and you also are hiring Detroiters. So I just speak on behalf of the community to say thank you for what you guys are doing. We appreciate you investing in the city of Detroit. And there is one thing I would like to do, and that is present a Spirit of Detroit Award. There's no other way to welcome you without doing this. If you can come up. On behalf of the entire Detroit City Council, we would like to welcome you to the city of Detroit and to recognize your exceptional achievement, outstanding leadership, and dedication to improving the quality of life for Detroiters. The auto insurance that you provide has given so many Detroiters the ability to have access to affordable coverage. We thank you for your investment in the city of Detroit. Thank you.
I just heard Eric say this is so cool. It is pretty cool. It is pretty cool. So with that, we're going to convene, and we're going to do what we came here to do, which is to have this wonderful ribbon cutting on this wonderful space that CURE is going to occupy and hire another 1,000 Detroiters real soon. So let's do it, guys. Thank you all for coming. Any questions from the media or any of the guests that are here? Yes, sir.
Sure. Well, primarily because, well, twofold. So if you have a sub 700 credit score, the average car insurance carrier in the country will charge you twice the rate of the exact same person with the same car and same driving record. So right off the bat, savings for people that have sub 700 credit scores. Number two, because New Jersey was the worst state for car insurance prior to Michigan, believe it or not, people don't know this history, but New Jersey was the first state to ever pass unlimited no-fault in this country. Michigan followed step 10 months later in 1973 by passing its law. These were the worst two laws ever passed in auto insurance history in the United States of America. New Jersey became the highest cost for car insurance for years until 1990. We finally put a cap into place. That's when CURE was founded in 1990. So we specialize in no-fault. Believe it or not, in the last 10 years, our average claim cost for a no-fault claim is 71% below the statewide average in New Jersey. So we specialize in an area that most of the big carriers like Geico or Progressive simply just don't want to do business in because it's too confusing and too hard to fight abuse that providers have under this system. So we recognize and we can predict what those losses are going to be under a fee schedule, because that's what people don't understand. Without a fee schedule, we have no idea how to contain costs. And that's why this reform bill was so instrumental, because now when you get an MRI, we know exactly how much they're going to charge us. And prior to that, it could be $10,000 from the MRI. And that's just simply unaffordable unless you're just going to pass it on to drivers. And when you're in Michigan and you're in Detroit, and you're somebody with a sub 700 credit score and our costs are that high and your rates are double, that's why our savings are so high. Well, they're just as good as drivers as everyone else, as our statistics will show, but their cars are stolen about twice as often as our state in New Jersey. So we have our work cut out for us in terms of towing and thefts. Those are probably our two biggest challenges that we have. Anyone else have any other questions? Yes, JC. Yeah, so the other thing that's a little different is that we're one of only 30 insurance carriers that are what's called a not-for-profit reciprocal exchange. So CURE itself is an insurance carrier that's basically a bunch of policyholders that put their money into an imaginary jar. We are of a management company that manages that insurance carrier on behalf of CURE. So our interests to grow CURE is the same interest that a policyholder wants, which is lower rates and better service. And that's how we're significantly different. However, the only reason why there aren't more reciprocals like USAA or Erie is because you simply can only do business in a state that's in a crisis to start out with. And most of the time when you're going into a crisis state, you don't have partners like we have right now in the reinsurance market. So I don't want to get too complex with the insurance world, but you guys will probably be like, what the hell is he talking about? So hopefully that answered some of it. Yes. You mean the towing problems that we're having? Yeah, well, the mayor's office has done an incredible job. But they actually sat down for hours and had a lot of the police force and the chiefs talk and discuss about what we're seeing. And what we realized was that 75% of disabled vehicles in the city of Detroit were being towed by these rogue towers. And then they were charging and passing those costs on to the insurance companies. So to the point where there'd be a tow in Detroit for 1 mile, and they would charge us $4,000 to tow a car 1 mile. And so what these predatory towers would do is they'd show up listening to a police scanner and actually show up at the accident scene before the police actually show up. And the consumer wouldn't know because he's friendly and he just hooks up the car and thinks that, oh, this is a friendly tow guy. It must have been called by the police. But lo and behold, that was not actually the case. And so we've targeted this as an area of abuse that we are definitely fighting against. And I think the progress that's going to be made is going to be astounding by the mayor's office. I have to commend them. I've never seen any governmental entity work harder for the people. So, sorry.
And I want to give credit to Dawn Eisen and the U.S. Attorney. There's a lot more going on in this, and you've seen the vigor with which the U.S. Attorney's Office has been prosecuting these towers, some of the rogue officers, but there's been evidence that when they get to the scene, as Eric says, they tow to their favorite repair shop, and that there are far more damages that are being charged for repairs than witnesses who saw the car in the first place. And this is why you've seen the U.S. Attorney take such an aggressive position on this. Chief White has taken an aggressive position on this. But it isn't just the tow charge. When you add the tow charge to a bunch of fake repairs, your costs can get away from you. And I think we understand this now a lot better than we did before. Yep. Yeah, so I just talk about the fact that was always my issue. You had people who weren't living in Detroit because of car insurance, but you had a lot of people in Detroit driving with no insurance. And the way the no-fault law worked was you either had to buy unlimited coverage at $4,000 or $5,000 a year or drive illegal. If you bought the unlimited coverage and you got in an accident, you had outstanding care. But if you didn't buy coverage, you got zero, which means low-income Detroiters getting in car accidents, tragic accidents, being taken to the emergency room, had no medical coverage for their entire recovery. I saw this when I was at DMC all the time, and it was a heartbreaking situation. What CURE has done by coming in and showing folks the lower options is they got 70% of the people who have bought their insurance didn't have insurance before. And that means that our residents are protected and do have coverage if they need it for the first time. And so I have always been, and I've never hid from this, there are those who are advocating for the old system. The old system was great if you were wealthy enough to pay $5,000 a year. The old system was terrible if you were low income and you had nothing. We had two standards, and CURE is now working to bridge that, and in particular has done a great job of getting Detroiters newly insured. Yes?
Well, I don't know that. It's too far in advance. I just know and hope that we grow as fast as we've been growing the first 2 years. Sadly, sorry. Don't know that answer. Anybody have any other questions? Thank you.
All right, let's convene and cut this ribbon. Thank you. You want me to leave this up here?